I believe the date was September the 23rd, 1993. It was filmed here in Los Angeles, California. KCAL Channel 9 News did a special on this Black Bible Chronicles book by P.K. McCary, and they asked me to do a live interview with Miss McCary on the book. The reason that I'm sending you this tape along with the letter is because I believe that the Christian community has not been given a valid opportunity to respond to this book properly. As a matter of fact, I believe that the evangelical Christian community has been laughed and scorned in terms of the book. It's time for us as a Christian community to take a stand, and as a pastor of an evangelical Black Baptist church in South Central Los Angeles, where a lot of gang members reside, a lot of young people reside, I thought that it would be practical to send you this tape to give you an opportunity to listen to a response from the other side. Also, you will notice on this tape that I did not give Ms. McCary an adequate time to answer, because it is my belief that when you're not qualified to answer, that's the problem in our community, that there are many people speaking for our community that are not really qualified to answer for our community. Therefore, we don't give adequate time. Okay, second of all, when it's put across in our community as something that our community needs as a Bible, that is not only offensive, but it is also offensive towards our Creator. I do know what a real Bible looks like, reads like. I know that if I were going to translate something, that there has to be some linguistical, I think I mentioned that on the particular tape, historical and grammatical principles that must be instituted. We as black people also know that. It has nothing to do with, as Ms. McCary tries to presuppose, me being a child of God without any direction. So I would ask that you would look at the tape, and you can contact me if you would like any further communication, and I would be willing to come and to discuss this with Ms. McCary or any black theologue that agrees with this so-called text or treatise, which it is not. It is one person's opinion of what they have about the Bible, and I think that as a black person in the community, that needs to be addressed.
Says attracting kids is the first step toward educating them. But some ministers and traditional Christian organizations are opposed to McCary's street slang Bible. They say the language is offensive and inappropriate.
The Black Bible Chronicles has received so much attention, a rap version and an off-Broadway musical are also being considered.
Well, is the Black Bible Chronicles a good way to reach today's inner-city youth, or is it offensive and actually inappropriate? That is the subject of Crosstalk tonight, and joining me in the newsroom, P.K. McCary, who you just heard from, interpreter of the Black Bible Chronicles. She says that she used street language to make the Bible relevant to the lives and culture of black teenagers. And joining me right now from South Central Los Angeles, Pastor John Coleman of the Olivet Baptist Church. He says this Bible insults the intelligence of African Americans. First of all, Ms. McCary, have you had response already from teenagers in the street, people who have told you that they do like what this Bible brings to them?
Well, I just finished with a group of teenagers, I would say about 13 or 14 of them, various ages, various backgrounds, religious backgrounds, that walked away buying the books themselves. We got into a really long conversation about what it takes to reach their friends. And what they said was that their friends are not necessarily reading the King James Version, and because of that, they felt that this book worked.
Reverend Coleman, is that necessarily then a bad idea? Isn't it good to reach them in some fashion?
Well, of course, I think it's ridiculous to even assume that when you speak about the scriptures that you're speaking about just the King James Version. And then I'd also say this, that it's unfortunate that many believe that because we're black and in the community that we're limited to that. When you compare this book that this lady is speaking about, it is no comparison to the Holy Scriptures. But the greatest problem that I have with this text is that when you look at classical exegesis, when you do a definition of what the Scriptures are, you should be a pastor teacher which can adequately teach young people. But the greater question is this: if our young people are so depraved that we have to stoop to defaming God's character in a text such as this, what are we showing them as believers about what we believe about an original text 2,000 years ago from the linguistical standpoint? And I would say to the author of the text, what is her background for creating such a monstrous approach and putting it on the black community and allowing other folks that's not in our community to think that we must stoop to this level of interpreting the scriptures?
Ms. McCary?
Well, you know, it's funny because I guess my greatest defense has simply been people who have told me how it makes a difference in their life. But I will tell you this. I will tell you this. First of all, I've had theologians who are scholarly and well-learned.
I would like to know, what is your background to even...
My background is simply that I am a child of God.
No, well,
God,
that's not
and
enough.
you know
That's
what?
not enough.
Wait a minute. Let me finish. May I finish, sir?
Reverend Coleman, let Ms.
Reverend
McCary
Coleman,
finish
may
up here
I
first.
finish?
That is a
Jesus
problem.
walked on this earth talking to the common man. And when he picked 12, he didn't pick 12 preachers. He didn't pick 12 scholars. He didn't pick 12 politicians.
But I'm sorry, ma'am.
He picked 12.
If I am
rough
studying,
at the edges.
if
Let
I
me
am studying
finish,
a culture
Reverend
or a language,
Coleman.
I'm sorry,
Reverend
ma'am.
Coleman, let me
If I am
finish.
studying a language from a different culture, what I have to do is do some historical, linguistical, and all of that kind of background within the context of the literature that I'm defining.
It is precisely that narrow-minded attitude that has made...
Reverend Coleman, let Ms. McCary just finish up here quickly. Go ahead.
It is precisely that Pharisee, Sadducees, narrow-minded sounding attitude that has made a group of kids, a generation of kids say that they want no part of it. If you destroyed this Bible...
It doesn't work very well if we both talk at the same time. Finish up real quickly, Ms. McCary.
If you're not going to let me answer you.
All right,
you have made several points that you have not even allowed me to address.
You do not have the background to address it.
Reverend
How can you address a theological treatise and
haven't
you have
given
no
me
training?
an opportunity to do that. Not at all. You aren't even willing to listen.
Therefore, you are not
maybe,
qualified to say what the Bible says, ma'am.
But
and that's the tragedy in our community. There are individuals in our community speaking authoritatively out of line. And I think that you're making a quick buck on
I have a
this
quick
book.
question here myself of Ms. McCary, and that is, did you have any idea that you'd get this kind of a backlash from this treatise when you started it?
You know what? The biggest thing that has happened that has been good about this is that I have gotten into conversations with people, and we have come to some kind of sense that we're on the same side.
Well, no, we are
Reverend
not tracking together,
Reverend Coleman,
and that's
I'm not
where you're
speaking
absolute,
of you.
ma'am.
And
Okay, and Reverend Coleman, I want to ask a Reverend Coleman question real quickly, too. Reverend Coleman, would you tell somebody that brought this into your church to leave it outside the door,
No,
or
I
would
would
you
tell
encourage
someone
them to
that
have
brought a book like this into my church, I would say, what are you presupposing about the people that I pastor? Are you saying that we're a bunch of ignoramuses that cannot deal with the linguistical language, with a cultural background? You're assuming that we are ignorant and backwards and that we have to now start rapping to find out who God is. I will not degrade the Creator down to a gutter level.
All right.
I do not pastor gutter people, and that's what this book is.
A final comment, Ms. McCary. Go ahead.
The final comment is simply this. He is precisely the type of individual that has kept a lot of people from coming to God. It's not about a church that you pastor. It is not about a people that you pastor.
It is about the truth.
If you don't let me finish, I swear.
Go ahead, Ms. McCary. Finish up.
One person, if we go after the one, Jesus rejoices in his coming back to the fold in the 99 that you're talking about that say that they have it.
You need help.
I don't need help, sir, because you know what? I answer to a higher calling, and I didn't need your permission
that is not God, dear.
I didn't ask your permission to do this.
What you need to do,
and if I were you, I would go to God and find out whether or not he should stop me.
I also think that you're a ridiculous person trying to put this trash on our community like that.
All right, Reverend Coleman and Ms. McCary, thank you very much tonight. That's all we have time for.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for your enthusiastic discussion, Pat.